All right. Thank you so much. Yes. A very good evening to everybody and a very warm welcome to today's webinar. And I will be taking you through the flow of the session for today. Definitely, I would want to set the context for today's discussions, post which our esteemed professors would be addressing you with the topic of discussion for this evening. We will also have a short Q&A session towards the end of the session for today, wherein if you have any queries based upon the discussions that we're going to be, following up on, you can please share them on the chat box. We will take them up one by one for being addressed by the esteemed professors, right? So just a moment. So thank you for joining us today, right? And as we all know, the topic for today's webinar and today's discussion is the future of operations and project management. Are you ready? We are delighted to have you with us for this special session, which is brought to you by IIM Raipur in collaboration with program partner VCNow. As we navigate an era marked by rapid technological advancements, data-driven decision-making, and the widespread adoption of agile methodologies, the domains of operations and project management are undergoing profound transformation, as we all know. Traditional approaches are giving way to innovative and more adaptive strategies, making it essential for professionals to evolve alongside these changes in order to remain impactful and future ready. This session is designed to help you understand what lies ahead for the profession and how you can stay ahead of the curve by exploring the changing contours of operations and project management. During this 1-hour session, Professor Gopal Kumar and Professor Mohit Goswami, Program Directors of IIM Raipur's Executive Development Program in Operations and Project Management, EDPOPM for short, will share their insights on the future of the field and the skills required to thrive in it. A brief overview of the EDPOPM program, the curriculum structure, and its benefits will also be shared during the session. We will be holding a Q&A session during the concluding part of this webinar. Meanwhile, if you have any queries, you may please post it on chat and we will take it up suitably. It is now my pleasure to introduce our distinguished speakers for this evening's webinar. Dr. Mohit Goswami, Associate Professor at IIM Raipur, is a renowned academic professional is a renowned academic professional and industry expert in operations management, supply chain, analytics, innovation, and new product development. With over a decade of rich experience in India and the USA, Dr. Goswami holds a PhD in Industrial and Systems Engineering from IIT Kharagpur, an MS in Engineering Management from Missouri University of Science and Technology, and a BTech from the National Institute of Foundry and Forge Technology. His industry experience spans notable organizations such as Caterpillar Inc., Tata Motors, and Tata Hitachi, where he contributed to R&D, design, and technology management. At IIM Raipur, he teaches both MBA and PhD programs, and his research has been published in leading journals, including IEEE Transactions in Engineering Management and the International Journal of Productive Research. Dr. Gopal Kumar, also an Associate Professor of Operations Management at IIM Raipur, brings deep expertise in supply chain collaboration and sustainability. He earned his PhD and MTech from IIT Kharagpur and completed postdoctoral research at Dublin University in Ireland. With hands-on shop floor experience and an academic career marked by numerous research contributions, Dr. Kumar focuses on areas such as green supply chains, sourcing strategies, big data analytics, and the application of IT to optimize SME operations. His work has been presented and published in globally recognized operations and supply chain forums. Whether you are here to gain insights or to consider your next professional step, we are confident you will find today's discussion both enriching and relevant. As I mentioned earlier, we will also have a short Q&A session. In the meanwhile, if you have any queries, you may please share them in the chat box. We will pick them up suitably and answer them. Thank you once again for joining us. And without further ado, let us dive into the session for an insightful and engaging time. Thank you so much. Over to the professors.
Great. So thank you, VCNow team, for the wonderful introduction, and welcome to all the Welcome to all the professionals who have joined this for this particular session. So I believe with VC now, this is going to be our second offering as far as the EP Executive Program in Operations and Project Management is concerned. And this program has also run in this program had also run previously for six batches in some form or the other. So what we are seeing, this program has been running almost for now 5 years plus time period, starting from 2020, 21 and so on. As far as this particular program is concerned, there are three distinct parts to it. You will see in the brochures also there are a number of modules. The first part broadly encapsulates the operations management part, followed by project management and supply chain management, not in a particular sequence. If we were to talk about the project management, if we were to talk about operations management as a domain or operations management broadly as a subject, what you see here is operations management has gone through a tremendous transformation, at least in the last 150 to 200 years. As we all know, whenever we talk about operations, the context might be goods production. Think about automobile, think about FMCG, FMCD, or it might be services as well, traditional services, hotels, airlines, or even digital services, or what we also talk about in a newer paradigm, something called a sharing economy. So from a goal perspective, what typically operations management entails is how do we essentially convert into inputs into meaningful output. For example, in case of goods, the relationship between input and output might have much more tangibility. In case of services, we are looking at more of an intangible side, including the overall service experience, including the overall service quality and things like that. So let me just walk through how operations management has evolved in the preceding 150 to 200 years. Think about the pre-industrial revolution era, wherein there was no structured setting as far as how do you manage operations. The focus was on artisanry. There were hardly any focus on the cost part, efficiencies part, and things like that. Then we moved to the industrial revolution era with the advent of steam engines, with the arrival of assembly line, and so on. The focus shifted gradually to efficiency as well as cost management and things like that. After World War II, countries like Japan, for example, they imbibed in their approach the philosophies of total quality management. Then later on, this got quantified further in terms of a Six Sigma and so on and so forth. In 70s, 80s, from that time frame, the focus again started on a mass customization, wherein customers said that we do not want a single standard product. We want multiple options, the kind of options that you see typically even today in case of automobile, in case of consumer electronics, and things like that. Now, again, the shift has happened, particularly after 2005-2010, wherein now the focus is on triple bottom line of sustainability, wherein apart from cost, quality, efficiency, these kind of focus, we ought to have focus also on the environment part, on the social aspect, as well as, of course, the traditional economic part. We also see a significant shift on data-driven decision making. Many of you might have heard, and many times people interchangeably use tenets like artificial intelligence and machine learning and things like that. So we have seen shift in these kind of domains as well. Apart from the traditional operations management model, newer paradigms has also emerged. For example, think like the gig economy that we talk about these days, or sharing economy, wherein, for example, let us say individuals who drive for Ola as well as Uber at the same time without getting into a permanent contract with respect to these companies. So essentially, we are looking at how companies and individuals are able to monetize idle assets. The idle asset in case of Uber or Ola, you would say to be cars. All right. So in that case, how companies are able to monetize, how companies are able to create value for both sides of the customer. In case of Uber or Ola, there are two sides of customer. One side is the driver side, another side is the drivers. rider side. So in this case, how do you kind of create value in terms of efficiencies, in terms of prices? So these kind of emerging dynamics in the operations management also been discussed. Thereafter, we move to the analytics part, wherein we rely mostly on the data-driven decision-making approach in terms of certain broad mathematical formulation or optimization-based methodology. Of course, the focus is going to be on the applied view. We are not going to take a theoretical view, we are going to take applied view. So, for example, think about traditional problems like production planning problems in case of factories or scheduling problems in case of service organization. How do we deal with data-driven approaches, wherein the cost mitigation might be one objective or revenue maximization might be another objective? How do you ensure higher utilization? That might be another objective, and things of such nature. Why we are emphasizing on the analytics part as well, because you would understand that for most part, these type of decisions, think about production planning, think about product mix, think about scheduling, these kind of decisions are often taken in a legacy manner, wherein there is certain legacy knowledge around it, and based on that legacy knowledge, typically decisions gets made. But once we employ the knowledge of analytics and the skills associated with it, the kind of improvement that you see is often tremendous. So broadly speaking, this is something which we will be covering in the operations management part. Then we typically will move into the project management part, wherein the focus would be on how do you kind of mitigate the risks in the project management, where would be waterfall approach desired versus where would be agile approach desired, how do you do a scheduling in a project management, how do you provide resource allocation and things of such nature. All right. Towards the end of, if you would have referred to the brochure, towards the end of the program, there is a 2D of campus immersion. In campus immersion, our focus shifts slightly. In the campus immersion, apart from the operations and supply chain and project management related contents, we also emphasize on other eclectic areas. For example, leadership. We have certain lectures and those kind of things planned around leadership also, because at some point operations and all this hard stuff is okay, but one need to navigate through this entire organizational base also. So how do you essentially provide leadership, whether it's a tactical level or whether it's a strategic level? So those kind of things will be also captured. We will walk through certain specific, almost real life or semi-real life simulations as well. We will also give you a broad strategic view of the operations management itself. We will also give you a broad strategic view of the operations management itself. In particular, we might use business model canvas. For example, think about a company trying to do some kind of a product-centric innovation, and some kind of innovation which focuses on the product aspect. Recently there has been a ceasefire, but you see, all of you must have read that how technology and those kind of things have enabled Indian defense forces to gain a significant advantage over adversaries. So how do you kind of plan this kind of product innovation, how the life cycle of innovation happens, what kind of things you need to plan, what kind of things you need to worry about the product innovation, and those kind of strategic level perspectives of operations management also will be covering from a campus immersion point of view. So broadly speaking, these are the things from the operations and project management, and of course the campus immersion. So Professor Gopal would also cover the supply chain management related elements as well. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Mohit, and thank you all the teams and participants here who are present. And I think Professor Mohit has already covered to the most extent. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the supply chain management and the latest technologies which are important for the supply chain to make the supply chain more competitive. We keep hearing about different supply chains, and we keep hearing about some supply chains who are that are successful, and some supply chains actually that are actually failing, and some of them have already failed. So it becomes very important to understand from planning perspective, from strategic perspective, that what actually makes a supply chain more successful and what makes another supply chain may not be that successful. In today's globalized and highly interconnected business environment, supply chain management actually plays a pivotal role in driving organizational success, customer satisfaction, and overall economic efficiency. Not only economic efficiency, today we are also more inclined towards environmental performance and social performance. With rapid advancements in technology, shifting consumer demands, and increasing complexity of global trade, global environment, geopolitical situations, it becomes challenging for any supply chain to actually design an effective supply chain that can be more efficient and at the same time should be competitive in terms of responsiveness. So this course outline actually deals with a strategic part of the supply chain, that what are the different factors that actually make a supply chain more competitive in the market, more competitive as compared to the competition. So those factors we will be discussing, and we will be then discussing supply chain planning aspect, and to some extent we will also touch supply chain operations aspect. But mostly discussion around supply chain would be revolving around supply chain strategy and supply chain planning, especially what can make a supply chain successful and more competitive. And today, you know that we have seen COVID-19 situations and different situations which usually we call super event, that actually impact overall economy. In such situations, how to sustain a supply chain, how to make a supply chain up becomes a challenging task. In addition to that, we are actually moving towards Industry 4.0 era. And some of the experts are actually arguing that we are already into it. But question remains that whether we are ready for Industry 4.0 era, whether our supply chain is ready for Industry 4.0 era, and what are the different things that must change in order to adopt digitalization or other technology, how we can make a more competitive Industry 4.0 ecosystem that actually can nurture a supply chain better in terms of efficiency and responsiveness. So this course also actually discusses about digital supply chain, and it categorically discusses different technologies and how actually it challenges conventional understanding of the supply chain, how it actually challenges conventional theories of supply chain, and in fact conventional operational understanding of the supply chain. All these things actually this course covers. So this is what I have to tell. And if you have any question, you can ask maybe in the chat box or as you like. So thank you.
Yeah, I think thank you, Professor Mohit, Professor Gopal, for your excellent inputs that you shared so far. And I'm sure that will give a lot of insights to our audience also as well. I think I would request Shreyashi to actually share them some, inputs on the program, that IIM Raipur, has been delivering pretty successfully. I think a few batches already have been delivered with a lot of success. We have a good set of alums who have graduated out of this program. Pretty good feedback with this, program with a kind of modern outlook. So if you could share some insights to the audience who are not a part of the, program, kind of who don't have an idea on the program content outline per se. So once we have done that, then I think we can get into the Q&A directly.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Allow me a minute, I'll just share my screen. I have a couple of pointers to share about the program. Yes, I hope my screen is visible.
It's coming up. Yeah.
Yes, so I'll be taking you through the salient features of the program and what it entails. Just a moment. Yeah, yes. So some basic information about the program, Executive Development Program in Operations and Project Management. As Professor earlier mentioned, so this program has been happening for a couple of batches earlier, about 6 batches or so in some form or the other. Now, in this particular name, this is the second cohort, right? The program is of 6 months duration, and the live classes are available on the D2D mode, which is accessible by you on your laptop or your desktop at home or at office, wherever you are available. The classes are conveniently held on Sundays, making it very, very easy for working professionals like you to join the sessions. The timing of the sessions would be from 11 to 2:15 p.m. The eligibility for joining the program is a person should be a graduate or a postgraduate with at least 2 years of work experience. That makes you eligible to apply for joining this program. You will also be having a campus immersion module of 2 days, wherein you will be visiting the IIM Raipur campus towards the end of the program. And a campus visit in any such program wherein a lot of working professionals would be joining is a very enriching experience, as you would understand. You would get to interact with the faculty members as well in person, and you will also get to network with your fellow program participants, right? Upon meeting the criteria at the end of the program, you would be awarded with a certificate of completion. I'll shortly show you a sample of the certificate of completion as well. The program fee for this is 1,20,000 plus GST. It is payable in 3 easy installments. I'll move on and show you the program modules that you would be studying once you join the program, right? So the first module is definitely Foundations of Operations Management. It goes on to Analytics in Operations Management. Then we have Supply Chain and Quality Management, followed by Project Management, Planning and Estimation. You also have Project Management, wherein you would be studying in detail about risk management, stakeholder management, and agile projects. As I mentioned earlier, you would also be having an in-campus immersion of 12 hours spread over 2 days. That is about 6 hours of classes each day. In addition to all of these, you would also be having project presentations in class, case discussions, which are going to be very relevant to today's times and today's challenges. You would also be having some simulation exercises in addition to the classroom lectures. So this entails your total program content and curriculum. I will now move on to some other details of the program. The online session timings, as I mentioned earlier, that is from 11 to 2:15 p.m. on Sundays, very conveniently timed. The last day to apply for this upcoming cohort is May 25th, 2025, as the program is commencing in the month of June. You can apply on for the program by using this link. You would also be getting this information in your inbox in some time after the webinar is over. And this is what a sample completion certificate would look like. Right. And I understand many of you would be having a lot of queries which you would want to be addressed in person. So we would also be sharing our contact details. And on screen, you can see the last cohort of this program when they were on campus for the certification ceremony. You can definitely reach out to us for any queries that you may have. As we mentioned earlier, the last day to apply for the program is May 25th, 2025. We have limited seats available in order to maintain the sanctity of the learning environment. And you can call us on this number, and you can also write to us on the email ID that is mentioned on screen. And with that, I think I have given you the basic details and the basic information about the program and when it is commencing and what it consists of. And with this, I would hand over the forum to professors. And if any of you have any queries, you can please write a text in the chat box, or you can also ask to be unmuted, wherein you can also put forward your queries. The esteemed program directors would be helping you out with the answers to your queries at best. I am also sharing the number and the email ID in the chat box in case if any of you want to reach out to us. And I will stop my screen share as of now. Thank you.
I think we can also add that, you will also be receiving the brochure and other details subsequently, after the webinar is completed, so that in case you are, keen to apply, you can apply through the link that would be provided. And, so applications are now being accepted. Already, there are a lot of people who have already applied to the program. They've secured their seats. So the earlier you do, the better. So if anybody has a query, you can unmute your microphone and speak up directly. Else, if you wish to publish it on, the chat window, you can do that.
There are a couple of.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of queries in the chat box. So the first person mentions, is it compulsory to visit the campus as I'm currently out of India? So basically, Mr. Manmohan, let me take up that question before the program directors would also add on to, whatever I may say. So the campus immersion is definitely a big part of your experience of the program, because as I mentioned earlier, you would get to interact with the program directors themselves in person. You would also get to have the classes on campus in live mode, of course. And you also get to network with your fellow participants. So it is definitely a part of the program, and we would ask you to be able to join the campus immersion as far as possible. Program directors, if you would want to add on to this, if you want to add on to this question in some form.
I believe that although we don't say mandatorily to participate in the campus immersion, but from our perspective, it's strongly advised to not to miss the campus immersion, because apart from the academic contents and things of such nature, one of the big things that helps the participant is to connect among themselves. And we all understand that when we typically work in a particular area or particular sectoral domain, our peers are typically those who belong to that kind of a domain. So from a network perspective, we get that people from multiple domains and things like that, they typically join, and ultimately it helps them network, and of course apart from the academic elements as well.
Indeed, yes. I hope this resolves the question that you had on your mind. I have another question wherein the question is, where will this happen? So, the classes will be happening online. You can access the classes from your laptop or your desktop, as I mentioned earlier. And the classes are timed on Sundays, 11 to 2:15 p.m. So if you are a working professional, you can conveniently attend the sessions. I would go on.
And all these sessions are going to be live sessions, so no recorded sessions. So our esteemed professors will take you through the lessons live. So I think that's a great opportunity to learn from them. And, you can access from anywhere. As Shreyashi pointed out, you can access from your laptop or desktop. We don't encourage mobile phones, but smartphones. But you need to be stationed somewhere and then access the classes from anywhere, right?
Yes. Should I take up the next question? The question goes like this. What is the future of operations and project management, and why is it important for professionals to develop both skill sets if they aim to grow in their careers? That is the question.
So as I told in the earlier introduction as well, broadly speaking, what the operations management intend to do, essentially creation of value, considering transformation of input in some form of output to the satisfaction of customers. That is the end outcome, whether it was artisan era of 1700s or 1800s or even 2000 or 2050. What is changing is the form and fashion of it. As I told earlier, the focus has been on the efficiency, cost, things of such nature. Now the focus has been on the analytics element, the ESG type of elements and things like that, responsiveness and so on and so forth. So the kind of problems that you will see will continue to evolve and continue to change, and therefore, considering the overall scope of operations management, we also need to adopt to newer frameworks, newer methods, newer technologies, newer skills as well. And so, for example, from the analytics perspective, let me talk here. So, for example, let us say the problem of logistics, whether it was in 1950s or 60s or whether in 2020, 2025, 2030, the elements related to logistics will not change. You have to plan essentially your goods from point A to point B to point C to point D. That is the intended outcome. But the manner in which these evolution has happened, earlier the focus was essentially on the observation and seeing those observation and kind of formalizing that route. Now, the logistics industry has become quite competitive, wherein each fraction of truck that is unloaded contributes significantly to the supply chain. It has huge cost implications and things like that. So accordingly, the focus in the logistics industry has also shifted from a typical legacy-based decision making to analytical decision making. The idea here is not to talk about logistics industry. The idea is to give just one industry domain how the problem has shifted while the goal remains the same. All right.
Thank you, Professor. I will move on to the next question. I'm trying to get a job as an ops and program manager, but facing too much of difficulty. Will this program help me get a job? That is the question. If you would want to share your thoughts on this.
So I think Professor Gopal, there is another question I think related to digital transformation, and then we can
Read it out.
Right.
Yes.
So question is that how is digital transformation impacting the way operations and projects are managed? Actually, there is a kind of paradigm shift. Digital transformation actually bringing paradigm shift in the way you manage your operations, the way you strategize the things, the way you plan the things. Professor Mohit has been actually emphasizing on data analytics part, and data analytics part is one of the very important part of digital transformation. And there are different types of analytics, and then data must be collected on continuous fashion. It has to be analyzed, and based on that, decision has to be taken. That is the one part of the digital transformation. But actually, it goes beyond that, and it completely transforms your operations from suppliers and up to the customers, the way customers expect, the way you can satisfy them. Everything actually changes. So particular way how it happens, actually course is designed to deal with that. So you need to attend the sessions to understand everything so clearly.
We have another question. It goes like this. Should I pursue only a project management program, or is it better to learn both operations and project management to gain a competitive edge and accelerate my career growth?
So, let me try to answer this first question. I'm trying to get a job as ops and program manager, but facing too much difficulty with the program. See, frankly speaking, there is no deterministic thing. You do some certification, you get a job or not get a job. Really, it would not be fair for us to comment on that part. But let me convey what typically happens in the program. So once people join the program, they have a particular mindset or a particular thought in their mind that, okay, this is how we have been doing things in our organization and this is how it ought to be done. What our experience has been, and there is a component related to project part also, wherein all the academic frameworks or skills, whether it's analytical skills or whether it's framework based or whether it's a process based skills, all of those gets deployed in a typical problem that industry participant consider their own problem, and then in those problems how improvements are carried out. So for example, there was one project related to how do you kind of improve the customer delivery and customer satisfaction within a particular service organization. So there are theories related to service operations and things like that that got deployed, and essentially it helped that particular firm and that particular manager to improve the service outcomes and things like that. So the idea here is the theory and framework and everything is fine, but until we create value from it and we create some kind of bang for the buck from it, we will not be justified in just understanding purely from a theoretical perspective. So that would be our emphasis.
We have another question from the same person. He asks, how is this program different from PMP certification?
So we will not like to comment on the PMP certification part. It's a very specific project management element. Here, what we are doing is we are blending in the three major components of operations and supply chain management, which is the operations management, project management, and supply chain management. So if somebody wants to deep dive into the project management, PMP certification is fine. If somebody wants to get a macro as well as micro view across the operations management, this program is fine as well.
So we have the next question from Vandana Pandey. She asks, how do project life cycle phases align with operational processes? That is a question.
So if you were to consider a typical project life cycle, whether it's a starting of a project or execution or delivery or ramp up or ramp down, if you consider product life cycle, starting from introduction phase to growth phase to maturity phase and things like that. At each of these dimensions, the objectives differ and kind of objectives change. So, for example, in the introduction phase, a company might be doing lots of cash burn up because they have to introduce a particular product in the marketplace irrespective. It would be backed by funding or something or the other. But when things mature or things grow, then you have to also look at the operational element. Whatever you are doing, is it operationally efficient or not? Is it sustainable or not? So depending upon different life cycles, whether it's a project or whether it's a product, ultimately your objectives typically change. But ultimately, all of these, broadly speaking, fits in within the broad paradigm of whether it's the operations part or whether it's the project management part.
Right. We have another question from Gayatri Gaura. I am from service-based industry. Is the program syllabus blend of product and service industry?
Correct. So the program considers a blend of both product and service industry as well. Service is something really important because the service industry itself, as a fraction of the GDP, service industry contributes 50%, 55% plus, not just in India, across the world. And how services are fundamentally different from goods industry, those are the kind of things we'll be capturing. We will be taking into account certain examples from the airline industry, from logistic service providers, from technology-based transportation aggregators, for example, Ola or Uber and things like that. So we will take into account both the digital services as well as the traditional services, airline, hotels and things like that. So, but ultimately these would be the instances. The focus is not on a particular industry because it would not be fair for all the participants if we were to talk from purely a particular industry, because we will have a blend of individuals from all the possible industries. The theory would be applicable to equally to one industry or the other. That's the idea.
Yes, I would also urge the other participants to please share their queries in the chat box, or you can even raise your hand. We can unmute you. You can ask the questions yourself as well. That's also possible. Yes, I think we have covered most of the queries that had come up. Let me just check if we have missed out on any. Just a moment. No, I think we have covered most of the questions.
There is one question that we have been facing from a few of the participants who have worked in the international sector also. They had a question that in the perspective of learning in the Indian context, in terms of supply chain, project management, how different it is from the international culture. Whether it's very different from each other, or the learning remains largely the same, and implementation is definitely on the kind of guidelines that the local government or local portfolios work with.
See, again, when we talk about these things, uh, when we consider the international aspect or specific geography focused aspect, there is a broad underlying deliverable that operations management is supposed to do. However, that kind of deliverable again gets tweaked in certain form or the other. So, for example, think about the very basic inventory management problem itself. Inventory management problem in America versus India versus Japan would be very different. In America, wherein we are talking about deep pockets, capital is not a problem. They are okay to store significant higher inventory so as to create certain responsiveness. In Japan, if you go, for example, even though they might have deep pockets and whatnot, but they, because of the size of the country and because of the resources that they do not have that kind of a wherewithal to have maybe 50 days inventory, 90 days inventory. So therefore, typically GIT type of a concept, just in time kind of a concept, originated from Japan. But if we were to talk about the inventory management principles or the outcome or the goal of the inventory management, it remains same whether it's America, whether it's Japan, whether it's India, which is what to order, how much to order, and when to order. क्या आपको order करना है, in how much quantity, and when there is a timing issue. And so I hope that you are able to, just a very small example to walk you through that, how inventory management would be different in these three countries, in these three geographies. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, absolutely so. I'm sure I think people who had this query would have got their query answered also. Any further questions from anyone? You can unmute and speak and directly ask the question rather than putting it on chat. Anybody has a query, you can open up and ask your queries here. I think professors have rendered their valuable time despite their busy schedule. So I think we should make the best advantage out of it. If you have any queries, you can ask.
Hi, Gayatri here. Just one more question. Am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, Gayatri, please.
Yeah. So, my question was like, would there be any kind of an intern thing or a project which is industry-based project alignment or kind of an like an assessment or something, which is like having an real-time experience with any organizational project deployment or an operations case study like that?
See, of course, academic case studies and there will be cases from Harvard and Ivy and those things would be covered. But from a project perspective, what we encourage is that we create a group of maybe 4 to 5 individuals, and we say that you choose whatever industry that you want to take, whether in the specific industry you are working in or any other specific industry that you would like to target. So we do not ring fence or we do not put a specific constraint. We give you all the freedom, and mostly it would be a team-based kind of a project.
Thanks.
Anybody else who wants to ask a question, you may please unmute yourself.
I think Harshal
Is
was
anybody?
Harshal Doshi.
Yes. Someone was trying to speak up. You can please try that once again. We heard you just for a bit. Hello? Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I think we don't have any further queries. So,
We have a question in the chat box, actually. How this course would help IT operations and project management? That is the question that we have in the chat box.
Gopal sir, would you like to take this?
So basically, here this course actually discusses operations management and project management. And we also specifically invoke different industries, including IT industries, where actually you see most of the operations are based on the project. So definitely principles and tools and techniques that this course delivers would be very useful for IT industry as well. And some of the project management techniques like COCOMO model and all we discuss in this course. So it will be useful, I think, for IT industry as well.
Thank you, Professor. Anybody else who has a question? I think we have answered all the queries that came up in the chat box as well as the individual queries that had come up.
And in case still, if you have any queries which are in your mind, you can reach out to the numbers that were being provided. I think, Shreyashi, you can share those numbers once again if possible.
It's in the
And the
chat
email.
box. I'll just share the screen once again.
Yeah, it's in the, you can also post in the chat box so that anybody who has a query can reach out to the team directly. And, we would like to thank Professor Gopal, Professor Mohit to share your valuable time today for the audience. Although the audience was limited, but I think they have gained immensely from the talks that you had, and I'm sure they will try to make a prudent decision of joining the program. We will also be in touch with them. And thank you so much for being here with us from the entire team of VCNow. We would like to thank all the participants also, to gather here today for the webinar session. All the best.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreyashi.
Thank you so much, professors. Have a great weekend ahead.